Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to another episode of It's Poppin', where we talk about everything pop-up camper related. So in this video, what I want to do is give you a tour of our renovated pop-up camper in the hopes that you might find some pop-up camper renovation ideas from it. So this is our relatively recently renovated 2008 Starcraft 2409, where we pretty much did a complete interior renovation. And by that I mean we completely redid the flooring, cabinet paint, wall paint, countertops, even the upholstery, which includes, the cushions, the curtains, and the valences, along with some other details that really tied it all together and brought it much more into the modern age. So if you find value in this video, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. And also, if you enjoy these, pop-up camper renovation videos or just pop-up camping in general, please be sure to subscribe for more content like this in the future. So as far as the flooring goes, we chose to go with a click-together vinyl plank flooring. In this particular pop-up, because we do have the slide-out, I believe we went somewhere in the 2.5 to 3.5 box range. But of course, it's going to just totally depend on how much square feet is in a box, and I'm not sure exactly on the square footage. Regardless, we went with a click-together vinyl plank as opposed to a peel and stick. One of the things we were advised or cautioned against when it came to the peel and stick was that it's not as temperature resistant, and by that I mean it can't sustain those highs and lows that flooring installed in a pop-up camper might be subjected to, especially if it's stored outside or stored in a non-air conditioned, non-heated spot. So that's ultimately why we went with a click together, just because it's more resistant to those temperature fluctuations. Around the flooring, because we did leave about an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch gap on all the sides, I installed a 1/4 inch quarter round, and I believe it was the PVC type, which is purported to be waterproof. To really finish it off, I used a paintable caulk and ran a bead down the trim just to finish off the whole flooring. Now, one more aspect of the flooring that we also changed was the carpet that is on one of the steps going up to one of the beds. Now, it was kind of an old nasty tan carpet that had seen its day, and all that is stapled on. So we just got a small piece of carpeting, completely replaced that with a color a lot more appropriate for our color scheme. Now, moving on to the cabinets, what we did is, as you can see, we went with a white cabinet paint. And in order to go from kind of that wood grain look color that was on the cabinets, we decided to do 2 light coats of an interior odorless stain blocking oil-based primer, and that really helped us when we went to go and put on the actual paint. And we used a paint specific for cabinets. I think it was like a cabinet door and trim paint, but overall that's worked quite well. And over the past year or so that we've had this pop-up, it's withheld pretty well. There's a few scuffs here and there, but we also have the dogs in here as well, so it's kind of to be expected. As far as the countertops go, what we did is we used a textured spray paint. And this particular color is called a Greystone textured spray paint. And I believe it was about 3 coats of this spray paint. And then on top of that, I did 2 coats of I believe it was a polyurethane clear coat. Unfortunately, and it might just be the nature of the spray paint on this particular countertop that was already here, it hasn't adhered too well. There's chips out of it and scratches in it. It just hasn't been as durable as I'd like to see. So I think in the future, I would like to try that vinyl self-adhesive that kind of comes in like a marble or granite look. I'd really like to see how that holds up in a pop-up. So if any of you guys have any experience with that or have tried that in a renovation, let me know what your experience with it is and if you recommend it. Right under the countertops, or in between the countertops and the cabinet, is this T trimming or T molding that is pretty common in pop-ups. Now, in lieu of buying completely new T molding, we elected to use a plastic spray paint on all of this T molding. This has also held up just okay. I think if you truly wanted a T molding that was completely scratch resistant, that wasn't going to show the original color at all, you'd probably want to go out and buy the color T molding that you're going with. But by spray painting it, it's definitely a more economical renovation. So another thing we did is we did a silicone caulk around the sink. Now that's 100% silicone around the sink, and what that did is it just gave me a little more peace of mind that when water splashes out of the sink, which it tends to do because those are such shallow sinks, that there wouldn't be any water dripping down into that cabinetry, which has a high propensity of wicking that water up. So that was just one of those details I did hopefully make the pop-up a little bit better. Now, when it comes to all the reupholstering, which includes the cushions, the curtains, and valences, essentially, our mother-in-law did a fantastic job on these. As you'll be able to see, the cushions especially look significantly better than a lot of the reupholstery jobs that you'll see on the internet. What she did is she essentially utilized the old material as templates in order to cut and then of course sew these new cushions, and I believe she reused the zippers. However, the material, which is kind of a medium duty, not quite duck cloth, but not super lightweight material, is what we used. Now on the back of that, we used kind of a gray faux leather where the tan faux leather used to be. So we 100% replaced all the material on the cushions. Sometimes, depending on your color scheme, you might be able to get away with keeping the back, especially because it's not as it's more hidden most of the time, so you might be able to keep that. Now, as far as the curtains, what we did is we purchased pre-existing curtains and then cut them down to length, and then attached the plastic guides, or I guess slides, that the curtain slides onto the track with. We utilized some of this back fabric material to tie the curtains up, for travel or when we want them out of the way. Same with the valences. As you can see, the valences are that same material, and what we did was use the pre-existing valences as a pattern once again, but reapplied a new Velcro backing that which is how the valence is attached to the, I guess, roof part of the camper. So that's what we did for all of our upholstery. Now, moving on, we utilized a self-adhesive vinyl drawer liner or shelf liner material, and we applied that, as you can see, both to the refrigerator door as well as the front cabinet sliding door, and that kind of just brought more of that color into the camper, and it ties in really nicely with the curtains as well as our shower mat, which is the same color. Another thing we did, and a detail that's often overlooked, is we redid the mattress, and by that I mean we took the old mattress and then supplemented it with more memory foam and more batting, which gave it a little bit more height and a little bit more support. because before it was pretty bad. If you watched one of my previous videos on my favorite pop-up camping accessories, you'll see that we also put a mattress topper or a memory foam pad on our on the top of our mattress as well, which makes it much more comfortable. Now, when it comes to redoing the cabinet pulls or drawer pulls, I guess cabinet knobs or drawer pulls, we elected to paint our pre-existing knobs and pulls and then putting a clear coat over that. All in all, I don't think that was worth the effort, and the results aren't exactly perfect. So all in all, I would recommend buying all new cabinet knobs or drawer pulls if that's what you have. Now, another detail you'll want to consider is the color of your outlets and CO2 detectors and even your thermostat. Ours were all kind of a nasty tan color, so they completely clashed with what we had. So we either elected to paint the outlets, as we did in our case, so we painted those a white color. However, we completely replaced the thermostat and the CO2 detector. The thermostat was a pretty simple install, just switched out a few wires and screwed it back on. And the CO2 detector was even easier because that's battery powered. So that was just a matter of a few screws. So just a few details you might want to consider when you're renovating your pop-up. Finally, the lighting. We exchanged all of our interior lighting and exterior lighting, for that matter, with LED bulbs. One thing you might want to consider when you're making that purchase is what color they are, what Kelvin they are, essentially. So you might have your 5,000 Kelvin, which is more of a daylight, or maybe a 3,500, which is more of a soft white. So just something to consider when you're making those purchases. So hopefully this tour of our pop-up camper maybe give you some ideas for your own pop-up camper renovation. Now, if you've previously done a pop-up camper renovation and have some experience with maybe some different techniques for some things that that we didn't do here, please let me and everybody else know what you did and how it turned out, because we're looking to do another pop-up camper renovation here in the near future. Like I said, there's a few things that I do want to change, like the countertops and the cabinet pulls, and possibly even the T-molding. So like I said before, if you found value in this video, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. And if you enjoy this pop-up camper related videos, and especially anything to do with pop-up camper renovations, please consider subscribing, because we're definitely going to be doing more of these pop-up camper renovation videos in the near future.